Today, we're going to talk about something really important, a huge gap in mental health care. We'll get into the story of a new kind of treatment, the people who are just desperate to get their hands on it, and, well, the systems that are getting in their way. All right, let's jump right in. So, here is how we're going to break this down. First, we'll look at the human side of things, the search for answers. Then, we'll dig into the big roadblocks, what's stopping people from getting help. After that, we'll check out a program that's actually building a path forward, see the incredible ripple effect that recovery can have, and wrap up by looking at, well, how all of this change actually gets funded. Okay, so first things first, let's start with what's truly at the heart of this whole story, the people. Because this isn't just about some new therapy, right? It's really about a search for hope. And this really gets to the core question here. I mean, can you imagine that? You hear about something that could totally change your life, something that could be a real game changer, but it's completely out of reach. What do you even do then?
So the folks we're talking about here, many of whom are on disability, feel completely stuck. They're dealing with really serious psychiatric conditions, and the standard treatments, well, they often come with just awful side effects. And then they hear about this thing called metabolic therapy, an approach that often uses nutrition, like a ketogenic diet, to help the brain work better. It sounds like it could be the answer. But for them, it's like a rumor, just a whisper of hope they can't quite grab onto.
So why can't they get to it? What's the deal? Well, that brings us straight to the big systemic roadblocks that turn what could be a solution into just another frustrating dead end.
And this is where it gets really tough. These three things create what's basically a perfect storm. It's like a triple lock on access. First, your doctor probably hasn't even heard of it. Okay, but let's say they have. Well, your insurance isn't going to cover it. And fine, even if you could somehow scrape the money together yourself, good luck finding a professional who's trained in it and who you can actually afford. It's a total catch-22.
And then the source material just lays it out there with this phrase. It's a really powerful pivot from the problem to the solution. It's basically saying, hey, when the big systems fail us, that's when when people like you have to step up and fill that gap.
Which leads us perfectly into the specific program we're looking at today. It's designed to do exactly that, to face those barriers head-on and, well, build a bridge right over them.
So how does it do it? Well, this is the key. The program offers help for a reduced fee, or sometimes even for free. And by doing that, it immediately breaks two of those three locks we just talked about, the insurance issue and the cost of finding a professional. It's literally building an on-ramp to care where there was just a wall before.
And you know what? The results seem to be happening fast, and they're huge. Just listen to this quote from someone who's actually in the program. They said, "This honestly has been life-changing in so many ways already."
And it hasn't even been 2 months. Wow, I mean, less than 2 months. That just goes to show you how quickly things can turn around once you remove those barriers. It's pretty incredible. But the story doesn't stop there. It actually gets bigger. Because when one person starts to heal, that healing doesn't just stay with them. It starts to spread out, kind of like a ripple in a pond.
Yeah, and you can see that progression so clearly here. It all starts with that one person getting better, right? They start feeling more stable, more capable, and that allows them to start reconnecting with their family. And then, once that happens, they can get involved in their community again. And finally, they can share what the Source beautifully calls their brilliance and light with the world. It's a really powerful chain reaction.
So when you think about it that way, supporting a program like this is, well, it's so much more than just a donation. You're not just funding a program, you're helping to restore lives, families, and entire communities. It's an investment in putting the pieces back together.
Okay, so let's get practical for a minute. How does a program like this even stay afloat, especially when this kind of therapy isn't standard yet? You need a solid way to fund it. So let's look at how that actually works. Basically, the funding makes 4 key things possible. 1, it means more free spots for people on disability who need it the most. 2, it knocks down those financial walls we keep talking about. 3, it makes sure the support people get is top-notch. And 4, critically, it just keeps the lights on. All the back-end administrative stuff that's not glamorous, but is absolutely essential for a nonprofit to function. And what's cool is that support can come in all shapes and sizes, which is pretty reflective of how we handle money today. So yeah, you've got your standard credit card or bank transfers, but it also includes things like crypto and stocks. And there are even other ways to help, like through donor-advised funds or seeing if your employer will match your donation.
And that really brings us to the big takeaway here. This whole story points to a much bigger question, doesn't it? When a new, promising therapy comes along, there's always this gap, this long, painful waiting period before it becomes a standard, accepted, and insured treatment.
So who steps in during that time? Who builds the bridge? What we've seen today suggests that, for now, that job falls to us, to communities, to individuals, to people who see a need and decide to do something about it.